All right, my sixth graders, let's go ahead and get this homework knocked out. Got number 7, which means I got all the odd ones today. A horse named Northern Dancer won the Kentucky Derby with a time of exactly 2 minutes. At this constant rate, how long would it take Northern Dancer to run the Belmont Stakes? Well, we see here that the Kentucky Derby was 1 1/4 mile. Well, if I wanted to go ahead and find out uh, how much 1 1/4 mile is, I would take 1 1/4 in this case and turn it into, looks like they turned it into a decimal because 1/4 is 0.25, right? And I'll just show you in the calculator. 1 divided by 4, that's 1 over 4, right? And that's 1 divided by 4 will give you 0.25. So since there's a 1 in front, that's 1.25, all right? So that's where they've got this 1.25. And they're dividing it by 2 minutes because you want 2 minutes. Remember, we're always trying to find out what they do in 1. So in this case, we're going to be dividing. It shows here we're dividing 2 minutes by 2 to get 1 minute, which means we have to divide 1.25 by 2, right? And if you divide 1.25 by 2, I think you're going to get something like 0.625, maybe. Let's check it out. 1.5 or 1.25 divided by 2. Yes, exactly, 0.625. So over here, I'll put 0.625. All right. And now that I got that answer, I know what this answer right here is, 0.625. It says find an equivalent rate because I have 0.625 over 1. I knew it was 0.625 because the minute it said 1 minute, I knew that that's what we did in 1 minute. And now it shows us multiplying it to 2.4 and it equaling 1.5 miles over some minutes. And we are trying to find out how many minutes. It's kind of a giveaway what they've done though. 1 1/2 is 1.5 miles. So we're trying to find out how many minutes, right, this is going to be. And they gave it away because they're multiplying 2.4 over here. And I want you to understand why they're getting it. This is cross multiplication at its best, but let's look at what they're cross multiplying. It would be 0.625. They set this up really kind of weird for you guys, over 1. It equals 1.5 over something. We don't know what that something is. We put an X. When we cross multiply, this would be 0.625x has to be equal to 1.5 times 1. We already know 1.5 times 1 is 1.5. We also know to get 0.625 away from x, we're going to have to divide it away. So I'm going to divide it away right here, the way we've done it in class. And we see when we've done this, we also have to divide it to this side. And we know that 1.5 times 1 is 1, so I'm just going to erase that times 0.1 because it's kind of pointless. I'd have to rewrite everything. Now I have 1.5 divided by 0.625. If I put that in a calculator, we have 1.5 divided by 0.625. And that equals the 2.4. And that's where they got this 2.4. They kind of gave you the answer. So that means if I multiply the top by 2.4, I have to multiply the bottom by 2.4. And 1 times 2.4, well, that's 2.4. Which tells me it would take Northern Dancer 2.4 minutes to from the Belmont Stakes. And if somebody wanted to put this as a fraction, they probably could. There would be nothing wrong with it because it didn't say leave it as a decimal. And that would be 2 and, let's see, I would say 2/5. Okay. All right. So you got number 8 to do. That means I got number 9. The price of an 8-minute phone call is $1.20. What is the price of a 17-minute phone call? I'm going to work this right up here. If I know that 1.2 is equal to 8, I could solve for 1. I could take this 1.2 and divide by 8. And I'm going to do it both ways so you can see. I could take 1.2. I could divide that by 8. And that would give me 0.15. And then I could multiply 0.15 times 17 for 17 minutes, because this is telling me I'm paying 15 cents for every minute. Okay? Remember, this is minutes. This is how much it costs me. And I know people are thinking, you put the 0, Mr. Meadows, but it's still 1.2, right? $1.20. That 0 really doesn't count for much. All right, this is the money. So I'm paying 15 cents for 1 minute, which means I would simply multiply this to 17 to find my answer. It'd be 17 over 17, right? Because I can multiply anything to 1. That means I've got 17 minutes now, right? And 1.5 times 17, that equals 2.55. Okay, so that's $2.55. The other way we could have done it is to cross multiply. Remember, we had 1.20. We have that over 8. I could have put it over some number over 17. Remember, the top is money, the bottom is the minutes. We knew it was 8 minutes over here. We knew it's 17 minutes here. When I cross multiply, I can go ahead and take my 1.20 and multiply it to 17, and take my 18 and multiply it to x, and they have to equal each other. All right, so this will give me 1.20 times 17 has to equal 8x. Well, 120 times 17, let's look that up. 1.2, I'll put the 0, it doesn't matter if I put it or not, times 17 is going to equal 20.4. And that has to equal 8x. Now I divide by 8, which means I'll divide by 8 over here. And that'll give me my answer. So 20, oops, sorry about that. Wrong one. There we go. 20.4 divided by 8. And look at that, 2.55. So x equals 2.55. And that's $2.50. Or 55 cents, excuse me. Right? And it came out kind of sloppy. I'm going to correct it. 2.55. All right, and that's the same as what we had over here. So what is the price? $2.55. All right, we're going to go to number 11 now. It says show how to use numbers, units, and symbols precisely to solve the problem. Let's see, what problem are they talking about? It must be up here where it says the Garcia family is driving from Sacramento, California to Key West, Florida in 5 days. So from here to here, they're going to take 5 days. They traveled 2,045 miles. They have traveled 2,045 miles. At this rate, how long will it take them to travel from Sacramento to Key West? Now remember, they've gone from Garcia driving from Sacramento to Key West, Florida, right? And they said they're taking 5 days to do it, and they've traveled 2,405 miles. And if they want to know at this rate how long it would take them to travel, okay, in 5 days they traveled this. So they're saying it took them 5 days to do this. So let's see, if I was to do this, I would say I'd have to take 2,045. That's the amount of miles that they traveled, right? And they traveled that in 5 days. That's the amount of days, right? And we know that the whole trip cost, or the whole trip takes 3,272. They want to know exactly how many days it's going to take. So we can cross multiply this, right? And if we cross multiply this, we see that we're going to have, and I'll just use the highlighter again to make it easier for us, 2,045 times x, and 5 times 3,272. All right. Show how to use numbers, units, and symbols precisely to solve this. All right, well, we use numbers here by making 2 fractions, but we're going to have to use units here instead of cross multiplying, because this says they want us to use units. So I'm going to have to put a pause on this and say, we're not going to solve it this way, because they want to find out how much 1 is, right? What is the unit rate? So to do this, we're going to take this first one here, right? And I'm going to highlight this all in blue. And this is a ratio to tell us what the units rate will be. So we're going to take 2,045 and divide it by 5. That'll tell us how much we travel in 1 day. Right? Because if we divide this by 5, we have to divide this by 5, because we can only divide and multiply by 1, right? And 5 divided by 5 is 1. That tells us what 1 is. Now we have to take 2,045 and divide it by 5. All right, so I'm going to take 2,045 and divide it by 5 to get us our unit rate of 409 miles. Sorry about that. All right, now that we know that that's how much they go in 1 day, we could take 3,000, let's see, that's right, 3,272 and divide it by 409. So 3,272, we're going to divide it by 409. Right? All right. I'm going to take the shortcut here, use our calculator. Now, let's see. We take 3,272. We divide it by 409. That tells us it will take us exactly 8 days. All right? All right? So that makes sense. We're going to double check it here to make sure the book didn't make any mistakes. 9 times 8 is 72. 0 times 8 is 0, plus 7 makes 7. 4 times 8 is 32. So we have exactly 3,272. Okay? So that tells us our answer will be, let's see, we have to basically multiply it, this by 8, right? So that's going to be multiplying both by 8. 8 over 8, excuse me. And that's going to equal 3,272 over 8. All right, so that's how we would find this using numbers, units, and symbols. The other way we could have done it is with cross multiplication here. I'm going to erase this part over here to demonstrate how we would have found it a lot quicker, I think, than doing all those steps. We would have took 2,045, multiplied it to x, and that would have had to equal 3,272, right, times 5. And we can do this very easy over here. We would take 3,272 times 5, and we get 16,360, and then we would divide it by 2,045, and that would have given us 8. So everyone see how we did that? All right. So this would have been the same number, right? Equals 16,360. And we would have had to divide 2,045 away. And that would give us x equals 8. All right, so either way, those are things. In units, we're talking 8 days, okay? All right, 8 days. All right, so, yeah, because this was days down here, and this was miles up here. All right, number 13 is next. A nursery owner buys 7 panels of glass to fix some damages to his greenhouse. The 7 panes cost $15.50 or $15.05. The 7 panes cost $15.05. Unfortunately, he breaks 2 more panes while repairing the damage. What are the costs of the 2 panes going to be? Well, remember he bought 7 panes, right? And 7 panes cost him $15.05. That was for 7 panes. So we're talking the panes down here, the money up here. If we want to know how much was 1 pane, then we would have to divide both of these by 7. I'm going to do it the easy way, and I realize I'm looking for 2 panes. So I'm going to put 2 down here. It has to equal x. Right? And this is going to give us 15.05 times 2. That has to equal 7x. I know 15.05 is going to be 3010. equals 7x. And let's see, now we have to divide by 7, right? And now I would take 30, 10, and divide it by 7. And that would be 4.3. But remember, this is money we're talking about. So 4.3, actually $4.30. All right. So the 2 panes of glass will cost us $4.30. All right. And now we get to, see, that was number 13. So I have to do number 15 here. Looks like that's my last one. Jaden bought 70 feet of speaker wire for $18.20. He needs 30 feet more. If the unit price is the same, how much will he pay for the 30 feet? Again, we can take 70 feet of wire, right? Actually, we're going to take the money first. That's $18.20 that he paid for. This is the money that he paid for. Wow, that is ugly. Let me try to rewrite that. I don't want to confuse anybody. This is the money. And he paid $18.20 for 70 feet of speaker wire. We can make this equal to 30, right? Oh, x over 30. We don't know how much money, but for 30. So now let's cross multiply. This will give us 18.20 times 30. That has to equal 70 times x. We know 70 times x is 70x. Minus 3 there. We'll use the calculator to solve the other one. And that's going to give us, let's see, clear that, 18.20 times 30, and that's 546. Now I have to divide 70x by 70 to get x by itself. And whatever I divide from one side, I have to be willing to divide from the other because that's fair. So now I'm taking 546 and dividing it by 70. And that's 7.8. But remember, we're talking money. So I have to put the other decimal point there because money is in hundreds, which means this is $7.80 that I'm going to pay for 30. $7.80. All right, that's all that I had. The rest of them are for you. Good luck with your homework, and I'll see you in class to grade. Night.